All right, cool. All right, welcome back. We're back. Dan Morse, Morse Code Podcast. Soapy's here, of course. Soap, I'm just going to kick it to you, man. You got another kick-ass guest for us tonight. What are we working with?
Yeah, we got a very special guest, Michael Hurley. You know him from WBZ, covering all New England sports. Also a regular on 98.5 The Sports Hub, and occasionally gets caught in the crossfire or crosshairs with Michael Felger. How we doing, Mike?
Good. No, I haven't been in Felger's crosshairs in a couple months, so can't complain.
I haven't seen Felger lately. Is he on vacation or something? I had it on the background today.
Probably broadcasting from his Nantucket estate.
Exactly.
In the woods there.
Yeah, that he works his ass off for.
Exactly.
But cool. No, thank you for hopping on, man. Certainly appreciate your time. Like I was kind of saying before we started, we've had a decent amount of Celtics people on lately, talking a lot of hoops, which as it's kind of breaking down is possibly the only sport besides hockey that might actually somewhat resemble a normal looking season. But we'll start Patriots, because I know you cover a lot of Patriots. You're a Patriots writer. So we're recording this on Tuesday, the 28th, I think. And by like 10:30 a.m., let me just ask you a question. Are we going to be okay without playing any linebackers on our defense, or what do you think we should do?
It'll be an issue. You're going to want to generally, there's three layers of the defense, so you're going to want people on all three typically. But Bill Belichick, he's been known to mix things up a little bit. It's the type of news with Hightower and Chung, especially in canon. It's sort of surprising, but not shocking in any way. It's surprising. You're like, oh, that guy is a big guy. But when you think of all the factors at play, and you watch everything that's playing out with Major League Baseball, which, as you know, obviously isn't in a bubble. If you're 30 and you've made a lot of money and you've won championships, plural, what is the reason to go out there and do it when you know that, maybe the year after you'll be in better shape because you haven't had that, that could be beneficial to some, there's a lot of reasons. So in that sense, it's not surprising to see all these guys opt out. And the one surprising thing was that it was just all Patriots today. It was six Patriots, boom, 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 boom. Yep. I think Tom Pelissero from NFL Network said dozens of players opted out today, and their letters are being formalized or anything. Wow. I don't know how the letter process works, but the way that it goes through the process. So I would imagine there's going to be a lot more. The Patriots, in typical Belichick fashion, was like, if you're going to opt out, do it by this day. I think that's why we got the flood of Patriots first.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, like what that actual formal process looks like. I mean, very good point. I don't know if it's like a Michael Scott, I declare bankruptcy type of thing, or there has to be
I opt out.
Formal. This is like, hey, I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm going to be sending you a letter soon. You might, I'd suggest you read it because it has something to do with the upcoming season and my availability.
I think it's like there's, eligibility, like Pelissero mentioned, people who were rookies last year but were on IR, like, are they eligible for the stipend, stuff like that? I don't know how the mechanisms work, but I would imagine there's a lot of players that were on the fence or maybe didn't want to be the first and then kind of saw a trend that sort of said, all right, well, it's okay. If Dante Hightower is opting out, I certainly can. If Patrick Chung, one of the toughest guys, Dan Vitale, who I don't know if you guys seen his Instagram, is the size of all three of us combined. Like, no one's going to go to that guy and be like, hey man, you're soft for opting out. It's like, so I think there's a movement that's begun where players wisely in a sport where you smash your faces into each other are going to take a step back.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the Marlins, I don't know if it's coincidence or not that this is coming out a day after the Marlins news. Do you think that had a trickle down effect to these NFL guys? Like, holy shit, this is real?
It would to me. Wouldn't it to you? Because you're in the NFL and the one thing the NFL has had all along is that they were last. They, in March didn't affect, they did free agency, all that, and they got to see everyone else do their thing. And the one that most closely aligns with what the NFL is playing is the MLB. And you made it 0 days into the season. Well, not when Juan Soto tested positive the day of, on opening day. And to me, I'm watching that. I'm like, well, he's been around his teammates for 10 days. Are they isolating? Because if you and I interact and I have COVID, you got to isolate for 10 days. So MLB kind of dodged a bullet with that one. And then obviously it just exploded 4 days into it. That I think if you're in the NFL, yeah, there's less travel, which does help a little bit, but I think it's less about the travel and more about just living in society. Right. I mean, the virus is out there. It's raging in, Arizona, California, Texas, Florida, wherever. I don't have the exact maps handy, but these people live there, and it's a chance of getting it. And the thing is with baseball, you could maybe get away. The Marlins didn't, but you could get away where one guy has it and no one else does. Right. The Nationals seem to be in that state. In football, it's if one guy has it and practices, and then 2 days later his test comes back positive, you have a massive problem.
What are you doing?
Yeah, it's too late.
That's weeks. That's weeks. You're talking 10, 14 days. And that's if everyone's fine, So football worries me a lot. I think people are going to try because they're football players and generally they're hardwired to just sort of show up and bang heads. But if they have a situation like the Marlins had, which happened a week into the season, not even, it's a huge problem. And there's no easy answers. And I'd love to sit here and dump on Goodell for being a bozo and not having answers or anything. But I don't know what those answers are.
I don't either. I mean, we were just talking about that earlier. I mean, a lot of people I've seen on Twitter going back and forth like, oh, like this is why you need a bubble. It's a lot easier said than done. I mean, you saw the pushback on the NBA bubble for what, like a few months at the absolute tops, and people are freaking out about doing that.
And those guys, they're going in with 20 teams. It'll be down to, it'll be, half after 2 weeks. It'll be half after that. So there's an element of, and if you're in it that long, you're playing for a title. So there's an element of sort of being invested at that point. Whereas football, I mean, you're talking, even if you cut the roster to 80 guys, probably a dozen coaches. I don't know how many people work in the equipment staff.
Old coaches too.
Old coaches, also it's worrisome even in the bubble because there is no bubble big enough for that. I mean, unless you go to like the North Pole, I don't even know where you have that kind of functionality for 80 guys in Canada, or maybe you cut it down and just do 53, whatever. Like you're talking about thousands of people. It's such a bigger operation. Like I always go to after games, going down the tunnel, get to the locker rooms, the trucks, the tractor trailers, the people like hauling things on lifts, the bags, there's so many people and so much stuff involved that it's like, man, even that's why the preseason's canceled, because it's like, well, you can't do that for the preseason. It's like, well, can you do it for the regular season?
What's the difference? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, very good point.
I mean, I hope it works. Everyone's hoping it works.
Me too. But I think this is obviously making it a lot more real, not only for fans, but it's like you said, like teams that are in the NBA bubble, they're all in contention technically. If I'm like I don't know, a special teams player for the Jaguars and I have kids, something, I have to, that conversation's going to happen. I would assume my wife would be like, unless it's all financial, is this really worth it? What are we doing?
It's hard too. Cause I mean, that league, it's so cutthroat. There's a chance you never get a job again. It's
very true. Very true. I don't know. I've heard some people talk about, I'd be curious how you feel about this. I'm sure you've seen it floating around Twitter too. Paraphrasing here, but Bill Belichick knows what he's doing. This is all part of the master plan. There's something else to it, blah, blah, blah. Do you buy into that at all? Or do you think this is just, there happen to be a handful of Patriots players who came out first?
What the hell master plan would that be?
I don't know. Free up cap space. I don't know.
He's got
tank
Foxborough High. Yeah, Foxborough High School ready to step in. No, I don't think it's any sort of mastermind, but I do think he probably, if the NFL's deadline was X, he probably was like X-3 is our deadline because I need to run a team. I want first picks at these players. And that's the one thing, if this season does play out, which would be amazing in a miraculous sense, the Patriots will have that edge because any rule, any quirk, Belichick is the one that finds the little loophole or the little space between the words and lives in there. So I think he will be able to, and I think this is probably the first example of him being able to just sort of capitalize on the unique situation, the unique landscape, because now, he needs a right tackle. He needs a middle linebacker. He needs a safety. Well, he might be okay at safety. I don't know. But the point is, other teams that are going to need that 3 days from now will be 3 days behind him. So I think that's the only Belichickism we can really throw at this. I don't think not having guys play is in the master plan.
I see.
I agree.
He definitely he definitely saw forward into time and was like, I can't have Dante Scarnecchia on this team anymore.
That's
we got
true.
COVID coming.
That's risky. The guy's in his 70s.
I mean, it really is. And Belichick himself is 66, I think.
Ivan Fears is getting old too. Notice Troy Brown is now the assistant running backs coach. So you got a younger guy in there too. No, but I do wonder if Belichick is looking at the situation like we are, because he's a football guy through and through. He's football, but he's also a lot smarter than that. I wonder if he's sort of saying 2021 is looking more important than 2020. I don't. Yeah. How can you look at it right now and see the end of the 2020 season?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can picture is a classic like Bill Belichick meeting, whether it be the whole team or smaller groups, and saying, "Hey, if you're not planning on playing this year, that's fine. Just let me know as soon as possible. Don't let me know, 2 weeks into camp. If you're having any doubts, let's have a conversation and talk about it." And the guys that opted out today, they all have, like you said, a reason to do so. Marcus Cannon is a lymphoma survivor. Dante Hightower is an infant. Patrick Chung, he has a medical reason.
He has a baby coming too.
He has a baby coming too. Exactly. So
Vital just had a baby. I don't know much about Najee Turan, but that's a guy. No, he is the Vital is the fullback. The practice squad lineman is similar to the situation you said, where you're like, I'm going to go in there with 80 guys in the middle of the summer. We're going to have one-way hallways, and that's going to protect us from a spread. Right. And I might not even – that guy's been on a practice squad for 2 years. Yeah. It's like that point has to be sort of like, I'm not going to risk this for the payoff isn't there.
That'd be hilarious.
We just put directional arrows on the hallway.
Yeah. We put red and green arrows. How much clearer can we be with this? We're taking this seriously.
We should be good.
Yeah, I mean –
yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it plays out. Do you anticipate, or – I guess it's hard to predict, but could you envision any other guys, whether Patriots or in the league, that might drop out next, or even a big name you think might pop out? I assume Hightower's the biggest name now throughout the league.
Yeah, I would.
And then there's a guy in the Chiefs too.
The doctor.
LeVarn that's kind of an interesting story.
I mean, that's fascinating because he passed up something millions of dollars, like $3.5 million, $4.5 million, and he'll get his stipend of $150 or $350. He's also Canadian, and I feel like Canada has done they've treated it much more seriously from the get-go, so that's not necessarily surprising. I wonder if like a veteran quarterback, not Brady or Breeze, because we know they have this much time left, but maybe a Matt Ryan, maybe someone who's
Stafford
is another good one. I know his wife was battling cancer last year, I believe.
Oh, really?
Or some sort of illness. So that one, like someone that's obviously like super rich.
Russell Wilson just had a baby. He's too big of a name, though, right?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It's a
Jamal Adams would be pissed if Russell Wilson drops out. Send me back.
He'll be back. Yeah, he'll be back in the same position he was in. No, but I would think that's going to be the one that everyone sort of says, "Whoa."
Oh, that would be a big one
because it's to the average, not the diehard football fan, but to the average football fan, it probably didn't even really register today. Dante Hightower is Dante Hightower, but if you're just a casual viewer of the sport, that doesn't mean much to you. Yeah. If it's, an MVP type quarterback, if it's a head coach, Pete Carroll's the oldest coach in the league. You mentioned Russell Wilson, Belichick. Yep. I don't think Belichick would ever opt out of football, but you get my point.
It's Corona proof.
It's just
but
not.
He is
happen.
the vaccine.
Well, what do you guys think Bill Belichick preparing for coronavirus looks like? Like Bill Belichick at home, he stocked up with just a ton of hand sanitizer?
I would bet you.
And football gloves.
I mean, he is more friendly than his press conference demeanor. Yeah, obviously, he's a guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can tell a person's sort of sensibilities, and when it was March and stay home. So he was just like, all right, stay home,
lock it up,
perfect. Yep. That's perfect.
I've never heard better news.
Yeah. So I have a feeling his process has just been to stay home. I'm sure he orders groceries. And goes for a walk by himself, away from sorry, someone almost fell through my floor, away from society. I'm sure that's been good for him. I think it's different when you got to be in charge of a staff of 150 or whatever it may be, but I bet he's in good shape right now. It's just going forward tricky, very tricky.
I think it's either that, but 1A option wise is he's on 7 Rings, his boat. And it's just him and Nike, the little husky little puppy, hanging out.
Just going for dives.
Yeah, and like I don't know, memorizing play sheets and like testing each other or something.
It's true. Nike's the smartest dog in the world. I do like. I think it was this week because it's been so hot. Like of all the weeks, I wish I was wealthy. It was this one because I would just be on a boat, cooling off, away from everyone. Like I think that the rich people really got to win this past few weeks with quarantine and the heat. It's just like, damn.
Yeah,
score
rich
another
people
one.
Quarantine doesn't count.
Tally
Not the
another
same
one
thing.
for the wealthy.
Yeah, I just checked, and this week I also wish I was wealthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe next year.
I'd be curious if I don't think it won't happen. But that's a really good point about head coaches. Like, what do you do if a head coach is like, my doctor said I shouldn't do this. Like, he said I'm going to die if I do this. I
It's
can't
happening.
coach this team.
The White Sox manager, Rick Renteria, is currently away from the team as he awaits his testing. And it's like, these guys are like baseball managers are like lifers. You know, they sit in the dugout, they spit, they dip.
Oh my God.
They're
Smoke.
like, they got the stomach, like the perfect baseball coach stomach. And it's like, they don't know how to stay away or do all these things. Like it's so foreign. And football guys, it's the same things. You know, they grind tape and eat garbage and spend 40 hours in the facility every day. And it's like, man, it's not like that.
I just picture like, cause you said baseball managers, Bobby Cox.
Yeah.
In his heyday.
Oh God, he'd be walking.
He must have managed till he was almost 80.
He looked it.
He looked every day of 80 plus like 20.
Or that coach on the Tigers who just routinely ripped
Leland
every second he was off camera.
I was at the 2013 ALCS, moonlighting as a real reporter, walking around like beforehand during batting practice and watching. He would just hit infield. Like Jim Leland was out there just like banging away like grounders. And I'm like, man, this guy is my hero. Just they don't make them like that anymore. They really don't.
It's interesting. Like there's the spectrum of coaches. Like the worst NFL player and the best NFL player, they're still both elite athletes. If you look at the Super Bowl, Andy Reid isn't the epitome of health by looking at him. And then it's like that defensive coordinator on the Niners. I forget his name. That guy's
Robert Saleh. Yeah, he looks like a pro wrestler.
Exactly, dude. He looks like the Rock's like third cousin.
And then you have like Sean McVay, looks like an Olympic sprinter.
Sean McVay. Yep. Sean McVay.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that? I saw it on Twitter or something one time. Sean McVay beat out Calvin Johnson for high school player of the year.
Really?
And wherever they grew up.
He was the quarterback. So
yeah.
He had the advantage. Bad voting. I'm going to guess bad voting on that one.
Yeah. And then there's that video. I think it was a Georgia Bulldogs coach who there was like a tackle coming to the sideline. He did like a 4-foot like vertical leap to get out of the way. Like if that ever happened to Bill Belichick or Andy Reid, they're in a wheelchair or dead. There's some guys who aren't fit for the sideline.
At least they're both big up top.
Big up
Belichick
top.
is one of the most stocky
dude
looking guys I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny. Like he spent how many hours on a sideline and we've never seen even a near collision. Can't be by accident.
No. Oh, he's the ultimate scenario ready coach.
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
That's situational football.
I saw one of their practice sheets leak. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 3:45. They practice sideline collision maintenance and control. So they drill it. They drill it like anything
absolutely.
else. But I don't want to spend too much time on COVID. I'm just going to get depressed and sad. So Soapy, go ahead. What else did you want to chat about?
I'm just going to make Mike talk about this. Let's rehash the Felger rant because I want to hear your side again because I'm pretty sure that I took your side originally. But can you tell us, how did that become? Because that obviously wasn't planned for you to call in, right?
Right. So Felger.
When was that, real quick?
That was April of 2017.
So a few years ago.
My second daughter was born.
Uh-huh.
So the previous December, I think Al Horford had his baby, and Felger did his whole paternity rant thing, and how ridiculous it was that Al Horford was missing a regular season game against the Heat.
What an
it was
asshole.
Man,
a road game too. It wasn't a home game.
He went to Atlanta for it was just you know what? It's a December game against the Heat. He's not going to play 82. Well, but it obviously became a big deal. He was in the news and everything. So it was my last day of work before my wife was having a baby. I'm like, oh, Felger, I'm heading off on paternity leave, sort of to say and then catch a little bit of Felger back at me, and then be like, all right, see ya. So I did that, just sort of signing up for a little ribbing. And then we had the baby, everything went well. And the day we get home, it's the afternoon. And Brian Robb texts me. I think he was, co-producing on Felger and Mazz, and he's just
from the closet.
Was he in the closet then? He might have been in the closet. That was when he would be at the Garden.
Service isn't great there, but glad his text went through.
Somehow it made it through the walls. And he's like, man, Felger's hammering you right now. I'm like, oh, geez. And I put it on, and it wasn't like, the normal stuff. Like Mazz was like, oh, I wish he would go on eternity leave. And I'm like, like that's some good fun. That is what it's all about. But then Felger goes on in this thing about like my work ethic, like he basically trashed me as a worker, which is just crazy. So I got upset, and I called in, but they were like too busy. Like Jimmy was like, no man, like piss off. Politely, he didn't say piss off. And then I think like a couple days later, it's like, do you still want to call in? Or maybe I texted him, I don't know. And I did, and just started yelling at him. And then I didn't have a plan. As you might have known, I talked about this. I've rehashed it on the air with Hardy once because I was like, I don't really feel good about that. He's like, why? You shouldn't. I was like, when you go back and it's never perfect. When you really want to explode on someone, you're like, man, that wasn't right. My voice cracked there because I was like pissed off.
Well, what are you gonna do? Have a prepared statement? I mean, I thought it came out pretty smooth.
Yeah, me too.
I'm okay with the message I was sending. Anyone that watches back or listens back, you got to be like, man, that was. But yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, my argument was, we have parents, but they weren't able to come help. So if you have a company that offers you time off when you have a child, which happens maybe once, twice, 3 times in your life, and you have a wife who just gave birth and also has a newborn baby, and you decide like, I don't really want to help you with that 2-year-old. I'm going to go back. I'm going to get like, I would have loved to go to work because it'd be way easier than staying home and helping with these 2 small children. So that was the main case I was trying to make. And having a radio guy, and this isn't even like an insult, but when your job is 4 hours a day as opposed to 8 hours a day, that's a huge difference. There's a lot of different variables. I didn't have any nannies or night nurses or anything like that to help out. So it was really just a different views. And that's fine. I mean, not everyone agrees with men taking time off when when their wives or girlfriends have babies. I think it's a great thing. I'm glad I did it. I just think that one in particular got a little off the rails. Fortunately, though, we did hash it out. We had a podcast. It started my podcast, which was a brief few months, and sort of rehashed the whole thing. He still was him. And the weird, what was nuts was he's like, if you took vacation time, that'd be fine. He just didn't like the verbiage or the nomenclature of paternity leave. And I'm like, that's the same thing.
Same thing, dude. It's
no,
crazy.
I'm with you. He's like, I have to negotiate my time off. And I'm like, yeah, so do I, in the form of like employees getting time. Like the company doesn't just give this stuff away. So yeah, it was not my favorite thing, but I was pissed. And I wanted to just defend the fact that like, I am a hard worker. I do work crazy hours like crazy. It's like, you don't get to just diminish me on like the most listened to and watched show ever. And also like at that point, like he didn't know if the birth went well or if like anything. So it was just like just being an asshole. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to call in. I'm going to yell.
No, I think it was great. I mean, I thought it was more than fair. And again, that was 3 years ago. I didn't have any kids. My wife and I have a like 1.5-year-old right now. And just listening to it again recently, it's like, bro, like spot on. Like anything, you don't realize the not even the time commitment, but like you said, like you feel like an asshole like every second you leave like your wife or the mother of the child alone, because you know how much of like it can be. You can have great days, you can have terrible days, but early on, it's a full-time job. It's way more than a full-time job.
And it's like when we had our first daughter, I did 2 weeks. I did 1 week because it was the middle of football season, so it was tricky. So we had the baby on a Monday, and I took that week off, and I was back at work the next Monday, or thereabouts. And then I took another week later. But like when I walked back to work, I was like, like this is great. No one's puking on me. Like, oh hey, what's going on? And then with baby number 2, absolutely, like you feel stupid for everything. Having one baby was hard. And like I have a picture too. Like the day we got home, it's like my wife is there, the baby's crying, she's crying, the 2-year-old's crying, and it's like, as a dad, you do what you can. Like I would take my 2-year-old out and let them sleep and stuff like that. So it's just about really easing the transition. I think it was a a great thing. I guess we're the first generation to really have that as an opportunity. So never intended to like become an advocate for it. I just was an employee that took it and got in a fight, but it was.
I like it because I think, and I'll be honest, I think like a few minutes, it was maybe a 5-minute conversation, like at most.
Yeah.
I think a couple minutes into it, you can tell when Felger was like, oh, like this is real.
Oh, really serious.
And then and then it's like,
I insulted
okay,
his wealth. I mean, if you call
exactly,
a rich person
it became
rich,
more about how hard I work and how wealthy I am and why, blah, 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 as opposed to, God forbid, congratulations. I don't even think that was mentioned at all once.
Yeah, I think that's how I open it. I said, when someone has a baby, I always say, it's like, congrats. How's everyone doing?
Shit.
And then you shut up. Like, that's generally how it goes. But whenever you get into like a I work harder than you, bro, off, it's a lose-lose for everyone watching, listening, involved.
Mike, we can have this conversation off camera. Leave my fucking kid out of it. We'll discuss this over, vodka sodas at your
I work
Hamptons
so
house.
hard, man. I work so hard.
I've already
So
got
good.
I've got a permission slip loaded onto my computer so that when that day comes, I'm probably going to set, what is it, Felger at 98.5.com? Something like that.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
It's a great story. We'll get you out of here on this last question, Mike. Something I tweeted at you about. You made a comment about Joe Burrow's contract today. And
Cha-ching.
I said, big dollar signs. I said, I would buy so many chicken wings from Magic City with that amount of money. What
Magic City's hot right now.
What food would get Michael Hurley to break a league quarantine?
Great question.
Even if it was served at a strip club.
Well, I don't think strip club food would be on my list personally.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Okay.
Great save, by the way.
Air quotes.
Yeah. Great married guy answer.
That's what they say. No. Geez, I don't. What's my dream meal? Like
what's worth? I get the quote. Like, what's worth leaving? And we've seen the food at the bubble. It's not great. Like, what's worth leaving in? What do you end up getting? A 10-game? I almost said
a 10-day. I think a 10-day
quarantine rather.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't.
Matter.
It would probably be like a really if I'm on the bubble and like I've seen like Inez Cantor posting his meals and not complaining about it, but I'm kind of like, really, like it's like airline food. I'm sure they have some better meals by now. I don't know.
But I would get LeBron's eating.
Yeah, exactly. Though I love Rondo showing up and being like Motel 6, and then he breaks his hand a second later. It's just like I picture him with like a ball peen hammer, just like dong. Oh, sorry guys, 6 weeks. Mine would be like a real heavy Italian meal, just like maybe like a chicken marsala with like mushrooms in there and just like a real heavy sauce and like perfect chicken. Like it's not like my dream meal, but I think after eating airline food for a week or two, that would be something I go for, and then feel like garbage, quarantine for 10 days, and then get back to work or break my hand with a hammer.
Yeah. What's like a go-to restaurant of yours in the Boston area?
Jeez, like I have 2 kids, so getting out is
Applebee's.
I would say one of the best. This is a little tip. I did this honestly, but I went to what's the steakhouse in Southie, like next to Tony C's? Was it Strega? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure. Well, it was our anniversary.
Shout out Strega.
It's like right in the water, right? And they have a little balcony.
Yeah,
pretty sure it is. Yeah.
We'll invoice them for the advertisement, but yeah,
right.
Go ahead, Strega.
Well, so I say it's my anniversary, and so what do? They give me the table outside the balcony. They put a white tablecloth on, the flower things. You get like a free dessert or free champagne or something. So it's like, it was my anniversary.
Right.
But they didn't ask for like a wedding, a marriage certificate or anything. So I'm just saying, if you'd like a glass of champagne or a little
Hope you listening?
If you'd like
dinner this weekend?
Yeah. Just saying.
Business meeting?
That was a great
That is
dinner.
a good call. It's like the birthday things. Hey, it's my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they've ever checked my ID or anything. You do that probably once a month.
So that's very true. But I think that was crazy to me because I'm 34. So my going out days was a good, 14 to 9 years ago, call it. So going to South Boston, like now, I felt like I was in like New York or like Chicago. Like it was like a foreign city.
Oh, big city, bright lights.
Well, where's that building come from? Like it was so lost to me. I mean, like when I would go out back in the day, it'd be like Whiskey Priest was there, and that was like as far as you would get. Now it's like a metropolis. It's
they just got rid of that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. They got rid of everything, but that's I think
Rest in peace. Also, check out Giacomo's if you haven't been there.
Okay, yeah, never been. That's like they have a North End location. They put one in the Southie, I take it.
Yep, both.
Got both ends covered.
Yeah, highly recommend. 10
Yeah, I
out of
remember
10. Tell
like
them I sent you. It won't get you anything, but tell them I sent you.
I'll play the podcast.
Yeah, perfect. Like I said, we have a 1-year-old. I remember the first time he went out, my in-laws watched him for like half an hour. It seemed like 3 hours. And we're just like so eager to get back. Like absolutely, like this is nowhere as fun as we anticipated it to be. Like it's wicked anxious.
Really weird.
Where's the bill? Sign and go. And it's like, is our kid still alive? Okay, thank God. Never doing this again. It's like it's so different. Yeah.
You just take the bill with you and then like
I'll
mail it to them later.
I'll call you. Yeah.
We went out. There's a place like around the corner. We got like pizza one night at the restaurant, and I had like a coupon, like an internet coupon. So I gave it to her. She comes back and she like gives me a bill, and I'm like, oh, you didn't give me a pen. She's like, you didn't pay. She got me a pen, and then I was like, where do I sign this? There's nothing. She's like, you didn't pay yet, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But when you go out now without like we go and like we don't have anything to talk about. We just stare at each other like.
Yeah. Yep. So real. So true.
It's
before and after having a kid. 100%.
Yep.
So let's end it with this real quick before you sign off. If you had to give it like a percentage, like 50-50, 70-30, NFL season starting and ending, what are you feeling gut instinct right now? Tuesday, July 28th.
It doesn't, I mean, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I think baseball, I wrote this yesterday. I was like, what the NFL needs to do right now is look at baseball, put itself in their shoes, say, how would we have prevented this? How can we prevent this? What will we do in this situation? How will we adjust our unique schedule? And then I hear Schefter this morning on Get Up being like, no, they really weren't really looking at it like that. They're their own thing. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Wrong
like
answer, Shefty. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the league and that's Roger.
Right,
What worries me is that the league has acted like impenetrable to this virus from day one.
Yep.
Which in March, I'm willing to give you a pass for. In March, July seemed so far away that I think we all sort of said, I'm sure they'll have it figured out. Something figured out by then.
Well, like you said at the beginning of the conversation, they kept their biggest advocate was we have time.
Yeah.
And I think also the draft went well.
Well, yeah.
Okay, the draft went well. We can do
Free
this.
agency work.
It's fucking virtual. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people. Yeah. I mean, everyone's separate anyway there. So
yeah.
Starting, I mean, there's enough guys. Obviously, when a half dozen Patriots opt out in a day, it seems like the sky is falling. There are enough guys that are willing to play football. Can the owners and the executives and the powers to be, I wouldn't say brain trust because I don't know about that. Can they set those players up to succeed? It's really hard. It's really hard to see. I think it's going to start. I think they're going to get camp. I think it's easy enough to there's no contact for a while. So if you test guys and they live training camp lives, which is to say they go home, they go to sleep, they wake up and go to work. I think they can get to the season. It's just, without, I'm not going to COVID pontificate here, but without, I mean, we've seen it in cycles. And, we were getting hammered in March in the Northeast and the South and the Southwest, and California was fine. So they opened things up, and now they're in a bad spot. And now we're fine, and we're opening things up. And it's going to, until we get out of that cycle, the players aren't superhuman. Like, they're just like anyone else in society, and there's thousands of them. And the coaches are vulnerable. It's 100% to start the season.
Okay.
To go to February without a shutdown. Well, I don't want to say 10, but I feel like it's 10.
10?
I feel like it feels. Well, I mean, look at the Marlins. Apply the Marlins to that. So
I don't disagree, but
and what's going to happen? Say say the Jets play the Dolphins, and they play, and everyone's negative. But then on Monday, a round of testing comes in, and 5 Dolphins tested positive. The Jets can't play for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Even the Phillies got shut down, and that's a sport where no one's really in contact with each other. Football, I mean, if an offensive lineman gets it and he's blocking the defensive tackle and defensive end, the linebacker, he's out at the safety, he's in the huddle with his own quarterback and running, it's scary. So all throughout, I'd love to be wrong. It would be sweet to be wrong. That would be awesome. I will have a parade for myself for being the wrong person ever, but I have real concerns about that. But not to bum everyone out, hockey looks fantastic. The NBA bubble looks pretty cool. Really weird with the silent free throws. That freaks me out. It's like sort of like 6 a.m. at the Y, like a old man run.
Yeah, like you don't want to wake anyone up.
Yeah, just like
shit, my bad.
Dumb.
Yeah.
But hockey, there was an exhibition tonight. I was actually giddy for it because they have 0 positive tests. Everyone's in the bubble. Leaving will be there won't be. Maybe in Toronto the guys will be distracted or whatever, and they might sneak out. Edmonton guys are locked in because what the hell are you going to do in Edmonton, Alberta? So I think we have hockey and basketball, which is good. I'm a big golf fan. I've become even a bigger golf fan now that it's been the only sport on. It's been unhealthy, but they survived there early. It's like
golf will be fine.
It should be. I mean, like the Hilton Head incident where Nick Watney was tested positive, and then they sort of had 4 guys. I guess Hilton Head was like overrun with tourists that week, so the golfers couldn't they go to get a dinner at a pickup. Like it's crazy. So they survived that. They seem to have gotten past that. So I think we have basketball, hockey, and golf to carry us through. Football, we need it. I think anyone in sports media will tell you need football because it's so far above the rest in terms of attention and views and clicks or listens.
Money.
Any magnitude, we need it. I hope it happens.
Yeah.
I just have I don't see it happening unless the country somehow rights itself, and we don't have the answer to that.
I mean, I think it's almost like ignorant to just assume NFL is going to happen, no problem. Like there's nothing that's happened recently that leads to that assumption, but we'll see. I don't know. I tweeted earlier today, I'm just going to do as many mock fantasy drafts as I can before they totally shut it down to get my fix in.
It sucks.
And that's pretty much it.
Because I've been a Cam Newton fan. I don't think people appreciate how unique of an athlete he is.
Yeah.
I think they just sort of see, I don't know. But like he's Rob Gronkowski's size, and he's the fastest, strongest guy. Like it's unbelievable. And I think there's something real to that pissed off vengeance factor.
I hope so.
There obviously words don't mean anything, but with someone like that who's come back from something before, where he basically bottomed out, and that's how he ended up at junior college, where he won a national championship, and then he went to Auburn. And I'm repeating. I was on a different podcast a week ago, and I don't want to bring up any like blood wars between podcasts. So do what you will.
Was it Joe Rogan? We have a big feud with Joe Rogan.
It was Joe Rogan.
He's our biggest competition.
I hate
right
to
now.
double
it's
up.
all right.
But
no
like you
I'm
ever
gonna text Tom Pelissero now and get him on next and have him.
That's my bad. I shouldn't name drop.
No, you're good. But yeah, no.
No, but look at his Auburn teammates. It's like the 3 of us were his receiving core, and he led that team undefeated. They had Nick Fairley on defense, and the offense was just guys, just like humans. They went undefeated. They beat Alabama. They won the national championship. It's like that's how he responded the last time he was down and out, so to speak. I would love to see it with Bill Belichick, and Josh McDaniels. I think needed some sort of spark to sort of reinvigorate what's going on in that brain of his. It's something.
Very good point.
It could be awesome. It would be awesome. I fear we won't get to see it in its fullest extent.
Well, that'd be such a shame.
It would. And even just from we talked earlier about the percentage of the season starting and now the Patriots dropping out. Like say the season goes well, 100%, no issues. How do these, if no one else opts out after today, how does that affect the Patriots performance wise, record wise? I mean, is this a big hit, you think?
The thing I've looked at the Patriots this year is last year they had the best defense in the league by any metric you go by, yards, points, anything but sacks. I think they're not a big sack team, but they were high up there because they had games with 5 or 6. Anyway, I'm rambling. They were the number 1 defense in the league last year. It didn't get them squat against Baltimore. It didn't get them squat against Derrick Henry. They didn't get them squat against Deshaun Watson. So in this era of the NFL, having the number 1 defense isn't what it was 20 years ago.
Right.
And your offense, they were I think 14th in yards. They were 7th in points, but that's because they had 7 touchdowns on defense and special teams.
Yeah, that's a deceiving number.
My point is, you were number 1 defense, mediocre offense. The defense is going to dip. You lost Van Noy, you lost Collins, now you lost Hightower, you lost Shelton, you lost someone else that I'm missing, but Chung too. Yeah. So the defense is set to take a step back. Is the offense ready to offset that loss by climbing it? It wasn't before Cam. I think Cam makes a huge difference just in terms of how defenses are going to play you. But I don't know that I didn't look at them even with Cam as sort of a Super Bowl team. but I saw them going from like 8-8, 7-9, 9-7 to like 10-11 wins.
Yeah.
Which is a fulfilling football season, which is entertaining. I mean, yeah, last year ended poorly, but like, I guess people in New England, our brains are warped. We're like at 12-4, but they suck. It's like, no. That is not how it works. So I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky thing. The Chiefs are going to be a problem for a while in the AFC, at least a year or two more. So I don't think the Patriots, if this season gets shut down, especially with the opt-outs, are like missing the 7th Lombardi. But I do think they're missing a very, fun, captivating football season that we'd all love like hell to watch. And let's hope you can run this back in a few months and be like, look at this idiot afraid of a pandemic like a bozo.
Well, it's either that or you're going to be covering us because we're playing on the team.
No shit.
You guys actually, I think you guys are starting this weekend in the Bronx for the Red Sox. So
I read that.
You got to get down there.
Yeah, my shoulder. Whew.
Just use the other arm. It doesn't matter.
I did read that.
No? Okay. Well,
Either arm. It doesn't matter. Do you have a glove and a hat? You're in.
I got both. So. I'll put my glove in my head and my hat in my hand, and that should work.
There you go. We'll see if baseball even gets to the weekend. So.
Yeah. So it sounds like you don't anticipate any sort of quarterback controversy this summer, do you? Between Stidham and Cam?
I mean, again, I know like Zolak's been big on it for some reason, and it's like you have
leaked the information.
You have 1-1 talent, like 1-1 first round, first pick. Stidham may be okay as an NFL quarterback. Like, I'm not saying he sucks and has no hope, but he's not 1-1 talent. He's not 6'5", 240. It's just it's the only way that Cam was not going to be the starter is if his foot had another issue or his shoulder. Like if something acted up, then that's the only way because you have Cam Newton. Just no.
Okay, I agree. Are you concerned about his? I mean, he's in great shape. He's lost some weight. Yeah, I don't know if that. Do you think that's going to be good or bad for him?
I mean, it's hard.
If you look at quarterbacks now, I mean, Lamar Jackson's not huge. Patrick Mahomes isn't huge. Russell Wilson isn't huge.
Lamar scares the crap out of me when he runs because I'm like, that guy is so thin and just it seems like he could break.
Very quick, very deceptive.
He also looks completely upright when he runs.
Yeah.
To me,
that's like very awkward. But I think it was the Bengals game. He had like the double spin move on one run, and it was just like, who the fuck is going to stop this guy?
Well, it's similar like Josh Allen runs. Chest up, head up, and look what happened against the Patriots. He gets knocked out. It's like
like they're practicing posture or something.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. But you look at the picture he posted with Demir Bird and Julian Edelman, and he looks like the size of both. He looks like he picked them up after and just smashed them and like walked away. So he's still plenty big.
Oh yeah.
I think the shoulder has been a problem. I don't know if you guys watched the All or Nothing special or series on Amazon.
I did actually a while ago. That was good.
That like gave good insight into the shoulder thing that he was dealing with because he felt great to start that year. He looked great. He was Cam Newton, and then he takes that pop against Pittsburgh, and it's like
out for the year. That's it.
Shell of himself.
Stinks.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean that's a question mark for sure. I mean the guy's taken so much hits, very similar to Gronkowski. Whereas any tight end catches a pass, he gets hit once and goes down. Gronkowski would get hit 4 times by the linebackers, by the safeties. Like it was always extra damage, and Cam's been that way too.
Well, usually Bernard Pollard.
Or Bernard Pollard, which Belichick killed with his eyes at that point, ended his career. But with Cam, it's like, remember his MVP year and the year after that, it's like everyone's smashing him in the head. And like Ed Hockley's there saying like, oh, you got to earn those, young man. It's like, no, you friggin' don't.
Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's going to kill me.
Yeah. So it's like he got the Gronkowski treatment. It's like, oh, you're big. You don't get this call. And it's like there's 100%. A damage toll there for sure. Like I'm not saying Cam Newton is definitely going to be, an MVP type player, but there's enough reason to believe. I mean, you follow the guy on Instagram. All he does is exercise. The man exercises more than I do. Yeah. So, I mean,
he writes in a weird font and he exercises 24/7. What else do you want?
But I mean, what are you going to do? So again, I'd love to see Cam Newton in the Patriots uniform. I'd love to be wrong. I just have a lot of, fears, doubts, questions, nervousness. It's just weird. It's a sport that doesn't feel like it lends itself to playing in a pandemic where it's just
certainly not. I mean, I work in an office with like 20 people and we've been work from home for 4 months. So
Yeah.
If that's not feasible, then I can't imagine how an NFL camp, a full NFL game, I don't know. And
yeah,
we'll see. Whatever.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know what's going to happen or what it's going to take to actually end it. Like I'm sort of predicting. Like I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about this with the Marlins news came out. Look back to the NBA. Rudy Gobert, they got
One
a positive
person.
test. The game was going to tip off in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the NBA shut down.
Well, there was a game that night. I want to say it involved a team refused to take the court because a referee had worked a Gobert game.
Oh, yes.
Before.
That's right.
So it's like that's
right.
the type of contact you're talking about. You're not talking about like playing the Jazz.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about playing a team where the referee was near Gobert.
Couldn't be further from a genre of music related.
Oh, Jazz. Yes, I did. It took me a minute. Yeah, dumbest team name in sports. But
certainly up there.
We knew a lot less about it then. Back then, it was like, oh my god, if you get it, you're gonna die.
Point. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing too is a lot of sports fans. I read too many replies. You get on Twitter and you read the replies.
Yeah.
Jesus, Lord. But like, are they dead? Are they dying? Are they in the hospital? No, then play ball. And it's like, you really got to focus on more than the death toll when you're talking about a contagious virus. Because the idea is that we have to stop spreading it at some point. It's not about everybody dying. It's a good thing that people aren't dying that are getting it. That is great. But the point is it's proliferating and it's not being contained. So we can't just like play sports if that's going to lead to more spread. Like you gotta
100%. Well, I think it was, who is it? Fucking the guy on the Nationals.
Soto?
No. He the closer.
Oh, Doolittle. That was the guy.
Yeah, he just came out and said, "Hey, like we don't deserve to have sports. Like this isn't rocket science. We're fucking selfish, and if you can't, do something simple as maybe wear a mask, stay in a little more often. Why in God's name would I go out there and risk my life and my family and shit like that playing baseball for you to sit home and watch? It's like, sorry."
He had the line, sports are the, reward for a functioning society.
Yes, exactly.
Like you couldn't have said it better.
Yep.
There was someone on the Rays who lived in the Pittsburgh area who was telling the media, down here in Florida, it's like you get demean people like are like give you comments if you wear a mask. They insult your masculinity. They insult you as a human. They call you a sheep. They call you all this. And he's like, at home, everyone just wears a mask. And it's like, living in New England, we've worn masks since March, and it's sort of like, okay, this is what we do now. And you get emails from all your corporate, like I got one from like Marshall's today, and they're like, starting July 30th, you have to wear a mask in our store. And I'm like, who's going to Marshall's without a mask on in July? Like how? Like that is the thing where corporations have to mandate it in July. It's like that's why it's frustrating. I'm frustrated.
I'm with you. I'm on your side 100%. So that's
sorry
why
to
at
end on
the
a
end
depressing note. Like
no, it's fair because at the same time, that's why I said earlier, if football or something doesn't happen, I get it. Like it's a bigger picture thing. It is what it is. I'm not going to go go crazy and bitch about it.
It's my career and my livelihood, and you have got like Kyle Brandt's tweet. Kyle Brandt's tweet was going wild.
Yeah.
And it was like, why are so many people in NFL media rooting for this? It's like, no, dummy. I'm not rooting for it. Like, I just have eyes and a brain, and I read and I watch, what's going on, and it's not great. And I don't see a way that like something as superfluous as football gets done. But again, not rooting for it, rooting to be wrong.
We'll see.
I would love to be wrong. Love it.
Me too. I would love for you to be wrong as well. So we'll let you go. Thanks for hanging out with us a little longer than you probably intended to.
That was a good chat. I didn't want to leave.
Could you answer one question in 30 seconds or less? I promise.
Yes.
Patriots bring back, they go with one uniform for this year out of all the ones they've had. Or I guess I should just frame this question like a normal person. What's your favorite Patriots uniform? It's
funny because it's like I'm going to be 90s nostalgia as a 90s kid, but the 90s jersey has become so good. Like, like the royal blue or like the imagine
the
Gilmore in the 2-4. Like that is a beautiful. As a kid, it was kind of ugly. Like I remember my first day of Pop Warner, I didn't have a jersey, so I tossed on my Bledsoe jersey. Like I hated it. I just didn't like the whole look. But
that's great.
Those like the pictures. If you look like at like the Lawyer Malloy Ty Law pictures, like they're sweet. They're sweet. I understand that
the
like
big block letters,
and you don't have to change the helmet. Like the red ones, you need to change the helmet. So. That would be the one. I don't understand why it's not back. I'd be honest with you.
Good point. They brought back the red and white for a while whenever that anniversary was and everyone was wearing them.
These they sold in the pro shop last year, and they sold out like immediately.
The 90s ones?
Yeah, they put in like Law.
Yeah, those are
they
dope.
put in. They even sold a Zolak one, I think.
Nice. So the blue ones or the white ones?
The blue ones.
Yeah, I do kind of like the white ones.
The white ones look okay, like Super Bowl 36,
Yep.
right?
The Packers one?
Yeah. Not 30.
It was
31.
I don't
31.
know.
31.
I can't do Super
36,
Bowl numbers.
36
I can
they
only do the
won.
years.
31.
Yeah.
My brain. I hit my head a lot.
Quite all right. No problem.
But yeah, no, the white ones are okay. They look good in certain photos. I don't know if you see the Belichick picture with like Willie Clay and the whole defensive backs. It
used to be my cover picture on Facebook.
That's
excellent.
Those jerseys.
I asked my wife if we could just wallpaper our living room with that. She's
you gotta know.
Still contemplating, but it's leaning towards no.
That's a great photograph. It's hard to find.
It's a phenomenal photograph.
Yeah. So yeah,
Bill's never looked more formal in his life. Slacks and a polo tucked in.
I don't think it's just a nostalgia thing. I think some things get better with age, and those look better.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the white jerseys that they'll have this year suck. Like they just
the color rush ones.
Yeah,
they're basically the color rush ones, right?
Yeah, but they look. I don't know. The stripes are thick. The pants don't look right.
I don't like the elbow stripes. Yeah, no, I'm
something's
not a fan.
wrong.
I'm not a fan.
I mean, it's the post Brady era. I guess you got to switch it up. But
hey, can you get Zolak to unblock me on Twitter? I'm actually being serious. He said on the radio once that he fucked up and accidentally blocked some people. I've never had a negative thing to say about him, and some reason I'm blocked. So
I'll tweet him. And see what works. No guarantee that he'll read it or see it, but I don't see him anymore. I haven't been in the sports hub building since December. So
Soapy, do you remember the last question you called in about Felger and Mazz? It was something like absurd on the air.
Yeah, I asked him when the Red Sox won. I was like, if you go down to a parade, no one ever talks about this, but where are you supposed to take a poop?
You said that to Felger?
I did, and they actually answered and entertained it.
Oh, really? Was Murray must have been working that day.
Murray was laughing, and he was like, I don't know. And then Mazz was like, 2 million people at a parade. Where you got to poop? Like, decent question. That's
funny. The Super Bowl 36 parade, when they beat the Rams, I was 15, sophomore in high school. So we all went in, and it was the most people I've ever seen in my life.
Can't do that anymore.
No, you can't do that anymore. But like a sports championship then, when the city hadn't won anything since the Celtics of the 80s, it was bananas. And so we ended up just like getting pushed to like City Hall Plaza, and we're just standing there. It's freezing. It's like 20 degrees out. And this guy's on the cell phone. He's like right behind my friend. And he's just like, yeah, we're at City Hall Plaza. I'm dry humping the kid in front of me. My friend's just like,
yeah. Tell him I said hi.
Yeah. But that's funny. Those were the days. I remember I went to college and they beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 39. And my friend was like, are you going to go up for the parade? I'm like, yeah, I've been
been there, done that.
It's like,
where'd you go to school?
Roger Williams down in Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. Journalism powerhouse, as you know.
Nice. Zoo powerhouse, from what I've heard.
There is a zoo.
Roger Williams Zoo, right?
Yes. Roger Williams got kicked out of Massachusetts and founded the state of Rhode Island, as far as I know. So
gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. You know what?
Shout out Roger Williams.
What happened was I was going to go to UNH, but I didn't get in.
Oh, wow.
Which was a big roadblock for me going to UNH. So I moved to who's still accepting applications, and Roger Williams was one. Look at me now.
Yeah, there we go. Cool, man. Last thing, where can people find you online, Mike?
Twitter is probably the easiest way, Michael F. Hurley, but all my stuff's at boston.cbslocal.com.
Perfect.
Still churning out the sports content until
they tell you not.
Hell yeah.
The wheel stops spinning. So.
Absolutely, man. We'll throw that in the show notes and everything. But again, man, thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry if we kept you a little longer than we had intended to, but really good stuff tonight. We'll see where this thing goes. I would say not an ideal start to baseball season and going into training camp, but
hey, but basketball and hockey look great. Basketball and hockey look great. Yeah. Get ready, get your Bruins jersey,
E's
get your
and
Celtics
C's.
jersey.
Yep.
Beautiful thing. Sports are back, and we love it, and we're happy.
Let's do it. Thanks for rocking with us. See you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks, Mike. All right. We're back. That was an awesome interview with Mike Hurley. Check him out on the
great guy
handles that he gave you. One thing that I really wanted to touch on with Dan, I didn't want to take up Mike's time, was about the paternity leave. Dan, you okay with that?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I was just trying to think, paternity leave, having a child, decent reason to take off some time.
I'd say so. paternity leave is interesting. So paternity leave is, I think we all know, if you had to rank them, I think the general consensus is maternity leave over paternity leave.
Fraternity
in every sense
in
of the imagination.
But yes. And then sorority.
I would certainly have to take leave for my fraternity if I was on paternity leave. You certainly can't file for both at the same time. I tried.
And my pregnant
HR
girlfriend
denial.
from sorority would have to take maternity leave.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's left at that point. Everyone's just gone. There's nothing getting done.
No.
But no, paternity leave is basically, and again, we kind of hinted at this if you listen to the interview. And I guess if you're listening to the interview, you don't know us personally. So my son is like 1.5. So I was in the situation about 1.5 years ago, and basically Mike was reminiscing on a time where he was basically just defending taking his paternity leave, right? And it got into a whole thing on a Felger and Mazz show. But yeah, paternity leave is great. I think it's well worth it. Obviously depends on your job, depends on your career, depends on your finances, whatever you can do. But I'm a big believer in it. I mean, not to get too personal, but when my wife and I and our baby, we were, basically in the hospital for up to 2 weeks just for like some post stuff like that. So I would, I wish I had more. I think I'd literally had like 2 weeks technically. But I would never give that time back. I mean, it was well worth it. Any time I could spend with them early on, not only, like Mike alluded to, not only was it great for me as a father to spend time with them, but dude, like it's a lot. And you feel like, I'm sure any father can relate to this. If the mother is home, you feel like shit every time you leave for like even 5 minutes, because it's so much work and it's all this, and it kind of sucks because it's almost like the longer paternity leave you take, the worse it is, because you just get so more accustomed to that lifestyle.
Yeah, more attached.
Then one morning, yeah, and one morning, all right, I'm heading to the office. Be back in 10 hours.
See you at 6. See you for dinner.
Like, what? You're going where? So yeah, so I would encourage. I don't know if that's something we can link or not, but I'd encourage someone to check out that interview. Not interview, the Felger rant.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to encourage people to check out like a paternity website or paternity leave website.
I was going to link out a hyperlink to my letter to HR declaring my paternity leave, in case anyone wants to check it out and see like what a real live paternity leave request looks like. It's exciting. We'll link that out.
Perfect. Well, we'll put that in the show notes,
or we'll make sure you'll have to subscribe to it, obviously. But
yeah, it's not free.
Go ahead.
So we've established. Yes, we've established you are pro paternity leave. So
yes,
pro Joe paternity leave. Joe Paterno should have left
I don't want to get
much sooner. Sorry. Okay.
I'm not pro Paterno for certain things.
Right. I'm not even going to laugh at this part, so it can't be mistaken for a joke. Let's move on.
All right.
Let's move on. Pro paternity leave.
I almost did make a Joe Paterno reference during the conversation. Not at this part. When we're talking about Bill Belichick, I almost said something along the lines of him going like a Paterno route and just coaching the team from the box. If you notice that when he was like, coaching when he was like on death's door, he was like in a cane. He couldn't even be on the field. He was so old. He had to coach from like up in the press box, like his own press box, and like wire in his like motivational speeches to an assistant coach to tell the players because he was so old. And he got hit by like a player on the sideline, like a tackle, like out of bounds.
I was about to say, what kind of like player would take that seriously? Joe Paterno can't even make the like the recruitment fucking trip. I assume he couldn't fly on a plane at a certain age and was just like, I don't know,
you should come to Penn State. We're great.
Yeah. I was going to say he was going to send an assistant coach, but
I know one coach
we'll move forward from there.
Let's move on.
So, okay.
Pro
paternity leave. I'm wondering your stances on leaving for other reasons that I've come up with that could happen in everyday life.
Like leaving work?
Yeah.
While being paid?
Yes.
I'm all ears.
All right. Got a few here. You take leave for a week. Would you do it for an oil change?
Would I do it, or would I think that'd be justified?
Do you think that's fair to request?
No.
You
Depends how
didn't
much
think
oil
about
my
it
car
very
needs.
long.
I didn't need to. Nope, I don't think that would get passed.
Okay.
We should try and get like an HR manager on the show and run these by him or her, see what they think. If anyone's listening and you work in HR, please.
Okay. I guess
I don't know where else to think about that. I would just say a hard no.
Okay. Bad haircut.
Better. Certainly, okay, it depends on how bad the haircut is, and it depends what my job is. If I'm like face-to-face sales, I look ridiculous. If I was like a manager or someone, I would consider it. Or I'd be like, you can't meet with clients looking like this.
Okay. My example gets more specific. Let's say you are a salesman, and for some strange reason, you ask for a fade, and instead your barber shaves in, I fucking hate customers, and you can't get it out. What do? You got
to make a decision. Either go bald, or you certainly can't meet with customers. You got to wait till it evens out.
All right. Guess that's
You'd have
fair.
to be, or you have to be like the world's best salesman and be able to overcome an objective that's 100% your fault. That's like the ultimate like Wolf of Wall Street move. Like, I'm so good. I'm the ultimate closer. I can shave in my head. Fuck you. And still close the deal.
Yeah, I provide objections to my customers.
I'm so good at sales. I need to provide my own objections.
All right.
I suggest to the customer that they should go talk to their spouse before making a decision, just so I can overcome it.
Yeah, I don't want to get too rusty. So if you could say no and make me, and like, I don't know, tell me that you need to think about it for a couple weeks.
Gonna have to work for this one. Let's see.
Bring in the closer. Bring in the lefty.
Bring in Mariano Rivera. Let's close this Tokyo deal and start happy hour early. But yeah, that's more. If we're like ranking these, that's over the oil change at this point.
Okay.
Justified.
All right. Sales related still, or let's assume that you're a salesman. And
I am.
You're and you're an over the phone salesman. So you don't have any face to face.
Nice.
What if you burn your tongue on pizza? Like 3rd degree burns.
I'm going to preface this by saying I don't understand how degrees of burns work. So is 3rd degree, is it like murder? Is like 1st degree the worst one? I feel like it's the other way around.
Yeah, I think 3rd degree burns is the worst one.
Okay, but you understand in murder, 1st degree is the worst one.
No, I know.
People don't talk about that enough.
No.
Okay.
Before I commit any crimes, I try to make sure I have those straightened.
Imagine that's a lot of pressure on a judge to make sure they're talking about the right degree. Ooh. Because in that scenario, a 3rd degree burn would certainly put you in the category of 1st degree murder. Well, that's a separate episode. But I guess 29. It wouldn't matter. The pizza's pretty irrelevant. I mean, it wouldn't matter how I did it. If I had a 3rd degree burn on my tongue.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And it prevented me from speaking. Soup. Ice cream.
Yeah.
If it prevented me from speaking like coherently, I wouldn't be very efficient on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a conversation I'd be, let me preface this. I don't know if it'd be a conversation I'd be comfortable having with my manager because I wouldn't be able to speak. But that might almost work more in my favor. So I'll be like, this isn't cap. Like, you hear me? I can't talk right now. Imagine this if I was talking to like a big client. I need a week. All right. Take your time. But It all goes back to the key is being paid. Paternity leave, you get paid.
Right.
That just sounds like, you're an idiot. Like, figure it out. I'm not going to pay you for being incompetent. But I still think that scenario is slightly higher than even the haircut. because I can't meet face to face or over the phone if I can't talk.
Okay.
You know,
these are fair answers. I'm glad that you're cooperating.
They're fair questions, and I assume they're based off real life experiences. Okay.
These all happened last week.
A oil change gone wrong.
Okay.
It just sounds like a traditional day. You know, hey, I'm going to get my oil changed, grab a haircut, and grab some pizza for lunch.
It's funny.
Get back to work. You can do this all in a lunch break.
It's funny because the next one is actually something that could easily happen on the same day.
Okay.
Which is you keep zipping up your dick in your fly. Gets caught in the zipper.
Yep, with you.
For 2 weeks straight.
Like I do it once and it's stuck there for 2 weeks, or I continually do it for 2 weeks?
It's stuck there for 2 weeks. Like you went to the doctor and they said, you're out.
You're out 1 to 2 weeks.
Questionable brain. Doubtful existence of brain.
Yeah. Again, it depends what the job is, because you're just doing your job uncomfortably.
Would it change if I said nutsack?
I guess, but it's like your theory is still the same. You'd just be doing your job in pain. So I guess that's probably the most justified one. That's an actual somewhat medical, thing. You'd have a doctor's note. Next step would be to get a picture.
I was going to ask, how comfortable would you feel if your boss asked for a picture?
If I had to do it, of course I would. I can't go 2 weeks without pay, and they said, hey, totally understandable, but you understand how this sounds. So we kind of,
we heard how it sounds. We need to see how it looks.
Exactly. We've heard how it sounds. I'd like to see how it looks. I certainly don't want to feel how it feels. And then we'll go from there. It's pretty much what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the most relevant one.
Okay.
It's a medical thing.
How
many of these do you have?
No, that was that was the last one, but I do want your opinion on one football thing. I want your serious opinion on something that I'm going to say that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you know this. Like, two of my favorite plays in football are long field goals and when you pin the other team back, but specifically who's the Pats' newest punter?
I don't know.
Not newest, but he was a rookie last year. He was sick.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Either way, like specifically
Ken Walter. Remember him?
He kicks it down to like the 2.
Tom Tupa.
And
yep.
it's like hovering over the end zone. Matthew Slater dives into the air, bats it back to the 1. That's a sick play.
I don't being sarcastic. What was the first one?
I just really like long field goals.
Oh, okay. No, those punts are sick.
Yes. I'm being serious.
Me too, for a couple of reasons. Okay, here's one of the main reasons. I think we can all agree, typically, the punter is usually one of like the less cool people on the team. Would you agree?
They've got the dumbest looking helmets.
Correct. But it must be the best feeling in the world when you kick something like that in like the 1 yard line and you go back to the sideline, like your defense is just hyped. Like, bro, like, great job. You fucking set us up. Like, let's go. Mm-hmm. That's got to be the best feeling in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Opposite of that is like when you're playing like a windy game and you shank it like 6 net yards and then you have to go back, or same with field goals. Like it's almost like cringeworthy watching like some of these kickers like continually miss field goals and do the fake, like, the line will come back and like tap him on the helmet, like no worries. And it's just like, it's so uncomfortable having to watch him like walk back to the sideline, like literally like Charlie Brown, like walking back to the sideline. Especially after you miss like 2 or 3 or like a game winner. Those guys get fired the next day every time. Like that is the most, it shouldn't be, but it seems to be. That's like one of the most replaceable positions in sports. If you have one bad game as a kicker, you're fired. Yeah. It's crazy. Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions last year. Excuse me?
Is there any other profession, like outside of sports where one bad
seriously.
day, like a bad day at the prostitute office, would you get fired?
Right. But it's like almost also from like a pressure standpoint.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be one of them in all of sports, unless it's like a free throw with 0.01 seconds left in a tie game or you're down one. I can't imagine a more pressure filled moment than like a game tying field goal from like the 20-yard line, a kick you should make. Let me ask you this. I think that's way worse than like a 45 or 50-yard field goal, right? In that same scenario, like 1 second left down 3.
Yep.
I'd much rather go out there attempting a 40 or 50-yard field goal than that 20-yard field goal.
Oh, yeah, you're playing with house money on the longer field goal.
Yep. Exactly.
Dude, I always felt so bad when Gostkowski over the past, 2 or 3 years, whenever he would miss, I was always like, dude, Bill Belichick must take a paddle to his ass, like in front of the team, I assume.
Well, it's also because he's been so great over his career. It's like you've set yourself up for, like you said, one bad game. Granted, it was like a bad season, but yeah, I don't know. I just think I just feel good for the little guy. It's good to see the little guy win when they get like one of those coffin corner punts or something like that. It's cool. They come back, they, like the guys like pick them up and they hold up like the number 1 like on their shoulder. It's like, all right, it's 8 minutes left in the third quarter. Like let's get back to you. We might need you again.
It's also sick when a punter or a place kicker makes a tackle, like on a long run back.
Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Beast, dude. Hit stick.
Starts walking around like Conor McGregor.
Yeah. Well, dude, who is that punter for the Raiders? They had one of the very rare black punters in the NFL.
Marquette King.
Yeah, wicked cool guy.
So cool.
Would punt, do like a little dance, and then like go off the field, dude. He was like a Chappelle's character. I'm pretty sure he had like a Barry Bonds type earring chain. He was the man. I don't think he's
I hope he's still in the league, but I don't think I've heard his name in a while.
No, you would know. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's Google it. Marquette. I'll Google it later. Yeah, I don't think he's on Oakland anymore. But yeah, no, that's cool. I think how do you feel about the onside kick?
Oh my God. The onside kick, now I am starting to not hate it, but it definitely was better until they made it like now pretty much impossible.
It's so stupid. Onside kick is so dumb. I think it's like, I don't know.
I just like it because of how
you
much
might as well just
it's so unpredictable.
I don't see how it's much better than kicking off. I would rather kick it off and I would rather train my special teams to just be savages and strip the ball and kick off like a 30-yard kickoff or something like that. Like I don't know. Because then you recover the onside kick. Great. You still have to go like 50 yards to win. But I don't know. It's pretty and plus also like the 10-yard rule makes it nearly impossible. You have to go at least 10 yards.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, even if I kick it 10 yards directly up in the air, I still need to count on my special teams to literally, from a dead stop, sprint 10 yards to people who are already there to go get the ball. Like the receiving team is already there. They're just ready to catch it. So I don't know. Let me ask you this question. How long do you think you've been watching football for? Seriously, like 10, 15 years conservatively? Since you're like a teenager or like 20?
Yeah, I'll say that.
Let's call it 10 years on the very
with the
conservative
utmost focus.
side.
We'll say 10 years.
How many successful onside kicks do you think you've seen recovered? Double digits?
I was going to say 10.
I'd say give or take, 10. 10's like the line.
So basically one a year.
That's not a very high percentage. Win percentage. That's.
I try to think of like what would be a comparable rule in the NBA that they could instate, but actually, did you hear about
going into the season? They had teased an idea for a rule change that I thought was good, but it got shut down. You know what I'm talking about at all with the onside kick? You could opt to. I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along the lines of like, you can onside kick, or it's like 4th and 10, or like a 4th and 10 or 4th and 20 scenario from your own 25.
Yes.
And if you get it, you just continue. If not, the team gets it right there. That's 100 times better than an onside kick. The Chiefs would hit that. I'm not kidding. I guarantee the Chiefs could hit that at a minimum 6 out of 10 times easily. 5 out of 10 times, no problem. You could train a team to do that.
Yeah.
One personnel package, a handful of plays for this scenario that are just guaranteed to get us 10 yards. That's it. 10 yards. 100%. We'll put it this way. I would much rather roll the dice with that and Patrick Mahomes than a fucking onside kick if I'm down 3 with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would you not try that?
Either way, the game's over.
100%.
I would take the play that gets completed throughout the course of the game all the time.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I can give the ball to perhaps the top 5 greatest quarterback of all time, who's 23, who does this all the time. Or I can have my out of shape kicker strategically kick the ball 10 yards straight up in the air for a chance for one of my guys to go get it. I'm going to need another timeout.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a double timeout.
I'm going to ask for a second coin toss to make a decision on this play.
We're going to need you to know their kid, Mike. I am sorry. Yeah, that's been such a cool rule.
Was it?
Oh, real quick, because I just saw it. How do you feel about the new extra innings rule in baseball? You start with a runner on second base.
I like that. Baseball's too long.
Baseball's stinkily too long.
Yeah. Length is usually not an issue on this show, as we've discussed in the past. And,
what about college overtime? Do you like college overtime in football? Each team gets a shot, first and 10 from the 25. You know,
wait, that's a new rule?
Do you watch college football? No, it's been the college football rule forever.
Say that again? What's
Way
the rule?
better. So we go to overtime.
Yep.
Say it's, I don't know, like Florida and Alabama. Florida gets the ball first. They start from Alabama's 25, maybe it's the 20, and it's first and 10. That's it. So they score a touchdown. Great. Alabama has the same opportunity from the other 25. They score a touchdown and tie. We go to double overtime. They don't score. Florida loses. You just play from the 20 going into the 25s back and forth till someone can't score.
But you get 4 downs, right?
It's just first and 10. So if you get a first down, you get a first down.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's way better.
That is way better.
Thing. That's why you'll see college football games go to like fucking 7 overtimes or like something like that.
Yeah.
NFL, it's better now, I think, with, if you score a field goal, at least you get like a rebuttal pretty much. Before it was whoever wins the coin flip wins the game. You know what I mean? And if you're a team in the NFL, you should be able to get into field goal range. You should have a package put together that'll get you into field goal range. Or
you should be able to predict the coin toss every time. That's what I would do. I would start with square one, but not everyone thinks. Everyone zigs when I zag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My serious question was that Donovan McNabb and the Eagles to get to the Super Bowl against the Pats, where they completed like a super long 3rd and long? I want to say it was like 3rd and 30.
The Pats. Oh, in the NFC Championship game.
That's what I'm saying. To get to the Pats.
Yeah, I think so.
That was one of like the sickest plays. That's kind of random that I can remember.
Yeah. One of the better ones too. I saw recently was. Do you remember? It was a while ago. It was Packers and Seahawks, and the Seahawks won the coin toss, and Matt Hasselbeck made the decision, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna take the ball and we're gonna score." Like over like the announcer, like to the ref. And then he threw a pick 6 to Al Harris and lost the game. That was cool. That was probably one of the better ones.
Oh, wait a minute. I just found it. Hold on.
What? I meant to ask you, did you still have any follow-up questions about when I excused myself in the last episode?
I didn't. Okay, cool. I ended up texting your wife and she kind of cleared things up.
She excused me.
It was, it was 4th and 26 and it was in the divisional playoff game.
Against who?
Eagles and Packers. So it was to get to the NFC Championship.
Gotcha.
4th and 26. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that was in the
Yeah. Anyway, it was cool to have Michael Hurley on tonight. Nice to get some inside perspective on the football. I've been talking a lot of Celtics lately. At this point, bro, see how it goes. I mean, there's really not much else to do. So, in conclusion, pro paternity leave.
Anti-paterno.
Anti-paterno. Big paterno, for sure. And then NFL season. He did kind of scare me when he said 10% chance. It's like the season finishing. But
yeah,
one thing I did mean to ask him, and maybe if he's listening to the end of this, he'll come back on shortly or soon. But I'm trying to remember, what's the protocol for a player who tests positive for COVID? It's at least 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Might even be 3. In the NFL, that's it's almost a quarter of the season.
Yeah.
Like if Lamar Jackson tests positive, like you're fucked.
Yeah.
You can't miss 3 games.
And it's not even missing the games; it's missing the practices in between too.
Oh yeah,
and like
you're in your house, it's chilling.
You can't just fucking instantly get into game shape after having been completely
quarantined.
still.
We're not even talking about dealing with COVID.
Right.
Like that's a best case scenario. You're asymptomatic, everything goes well.
Yeah.
We're also talking you're missing 3 weeks. You're recovering from a fucking lung disorder. You know what I mean? It's like, and again, it's not like I think it's going to be very rare that like one person gets it. You know what I mean? Like if a center gets it, the O-line's probably going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how you couldn't. I don't know. I'm not
if a center gets it, the quarterback's going to get it.
Right. I am an expert on diseases. I'm not an expert on NFL offensive line play. So I'm not going to talk about something I don't know about.
Luckily, we are trying to get Fauci on for next episode.
He's really a stickler for these time frames he can come on.
Dude, he also doesn't use Zoom apparently.
He asked if we could meet him at the Oval Office, but I was like, who's going to pay for that gas? I'm not driving to Washington for free.
No. Not on my watch.
I'm at a loss for words with some of the demands from some of our guests that we've been getting lately. I'm not going to name any names, but certainly a laundry list of ridiculous things for people to come on the show. At least Michael was pretty simple.
A who's who of what's that?
No kidding. But all right, let's wrap this thing up for sure. If you've been listening past the Michael Hurley interview, good on you. Appreciate that. But I assume no one has. So
yeah,
let's wrap up here. Like I said before, we'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.